All right, guys. So in front of me here, we've got a kind of a little model of a slider door that we do. This is a smaller version of what you'd see in a lot of cases when you go down below deck on a larger boat. You've got kind of the slider door that gains access from the cockpit down into the berth.
Yeah.
We've got a couple different styles, and over the years, there's been different versions of tracks and truck used. There's not a ton of documentation on that. But today we want to specifically discuss the difference between a rollerball system, which you see here with this door with some glide blocks up top, versus a standard system that uses either PVC or aluminum track with actual trucks there.
Sure.
So, when would you use one versus the other? Is there pros and cons between one or the other? Matt, walk us through that, please.
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to ask is, or figure out is what thickness the door panel you have is and what it's going to weigh, right? The application, the installation and such, you can see it's typically a bent door like what you can see up here, that they're all going to function in the same way, but the components won't work the same. They weren't there. You can't use one versus the other or one in conjunction with the other. So, when you look at this, I'm just going to slide this out real quick. This has a lower carrier that has two roller balls in it. They're separated by this little divider that keeps the balls from passing the midpoint of the door. So the door, when it's in here, is always fully supported, right? It's not going to lean over to one side and bind.
Right.
In addition to that, you have glide blocks on the top rather than trucks or rollers. And this is a much more load-bearing system, right? We use this. This system has been used on fiberglass doors that have molded steps into it. It's been used on like heavier wood doors in some cases as well. It does a good job there. But TJ, tell us what some of the differences between that and the track and truck system is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the main difference, obviously, that you can see here is that the door ends up actually riding on these little trucks. And there's three different sizes, A, B, and C, with A being the shortest, C being the tallest. And then what happens is the doors actually sit in what's called a train. And that's actually what will attach to the trucks themselves and what goes along the track itself, which again, Jared, like you mentioned, there's PVC, there's aluminum, a couple different options there. One big question that we get is, what trucks do I need? I would say that's probably the number one question when it comes to people replacing their sliding door hardware. And the best answer is, hey, once you get it taken apart, send us some pictures and dimensions of the trucks that you have, and we can help match those up for you.
And as a general rule, the A trucks are used in the lower track and the B trucks are used in the upper track when it comes to this track and truck system.
Correct.
The reason for that, and there are differences, this is an upper track here. The lower track tends to have a raised lip on one side.
Right.
That's just to help keep water from getting into the track system. The difference is, though, these A trucks, when they ride on the track, the top of the truck is right in line with the top of the track, where the B trucks, when they're riding in the track, they're a little bit taller than the track. And the idea there is, as the door is curved over the top and over the top of the track, it won't contact the track as it's sliding back and forth. Right. Where the A truck, you have the train that's going to be sitting on top of it. So it's just, the whole purpose there is to minimize the gaps and minimize the airflow that's moving through there, or water that's potentially trying to push through. So it just helps keep it a little bit more weather resistant.
Right. Yeah. So, one of the big things I think we need to kind of zoom out real quick and go over is that, we're building a lot of these door track systems for the OEMs. And so, we're working with them to kind of decide and consult which is the best, right? You talked about the rollerball system for heavier doors. That's going to be a heavier use application versus the tracks and truck system. Which, for us, if you are going back to a customer and they're calling saying, hey, these trucks are wore out, my roller balls are wore out, you're giving them different advice. You're kind of going, hey, this is what we used in these bill of materials. Send us some pictures, dimensions, and you're trying to go back in with the same thing that they came out with, right? You mentioned here before the conversation a little bit about, sometimes we'll have, people that are trying to build their own pilot house, et cetera, and want us to consult on what system to use and how to configure that. Matt, what's your take on that? Is that something that we really want to be able to do? I know the OEM side they do, but there's a lot more back and forth between the OEMs and a one-off customer.
For sure.
So,
from a custom and installation standpoint, there isn't a whole lot that we can do on that front. We can provide the hardware that's necessary to do it and give you the information on what will work with it. There's no limit to the thickness of material that you can use with this door or this track system. Whereas with this
the
one,
rollerball track system.
Correct, with the rollerball system. With this, you're limited to a 1/2 inch material.
Because the train only fits 1/2 inch material.
Correct. So it also, these are plastic trucks. We do have aluminum track in this version, but this track is plastic as well. Typically, that's not what fails in these. It's usually the trucks, the wheels go bad or something along those lines. These just aren't going to be as load bearing as the Delrin roller balls that are inside here. They last a lot longer. They're definitely stronger, from a weight carrying capacity. So when we're talking about a new project of like new door that someone's trying to develop, there's a few things that come into question, right? How are you going to be installing it? Is it going to be a vertical door? Is it going to be a bent door? Because a lot of times when customers are trying to do it, they're not trying to bend a door to fit an existing application.
They might be trying to hang a door by the trucks alone in the train. I've seen that before where we go, ugh, those
you
aren't
cannot
made for
hang
that.
these. No, neither of these systems are designed to be, a hanging door style.
Yeah.
Right.
But with that said, they can be used in a vertical application. It's just not something that we do. So in the instance where I have used this system and spoken with a customer who was doing a vertical door, it was set up exactly like this without the bend.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have the glide blocks at the top. That's what retains it to the top track. The top track is mounted sideways like this so that the glide blocks move this way.
Gotcha.
And that seemed to work for that application. At least from the follow-up that I had with the customer, he seemed pretty happy with it.
So if we're looking to do a new project, we can provide the hardware and a little bit of insight, which is, not the same as the OEMs where we're going back and forth to develop something together. But overall, a lot of stuff, what you guys are dealing with is these systems are in the field. They've been in the field for 30 years.
We're replacing parts.
You're going back in and helping them replace them. So
Right. Exactly.
Awesome.